The A-list is dead. With a few exceptions, movie stars simply don't sell movie tickets the way they did back in the 80s, 90s, and zeros. Audiences use different means to decide what movies to go see, in particular, franchises and recognizable IP, and established, trustworthy directors. I put a short out about this a month or two back about the death of the A-list. Got several million views, and someone asked me a great follow-up question. Who are those directors that sell tickets? Well, here are my picks for the directors that are brands in and of themselves that can sell tickets. While I'm talking, be sure to join me down below in the comment section. Who do you think are the current A-list directors? The directors whose name itself sells movie tickets. When they put out a movie, it is an event that people pay attention to and immediately have interested in. I'd love to hear your picks down below in the comment section, in particular if I missed someone really obvious. One quick thing before we started, I put some new designs in my merch store, including this I Know More About Movies Than You Do t-shirt design. Links for that down below in the description. And let's get started. Kicking things off, Zack Snyder. These aren't necessarily ranked, but generally speaking, the ones lower on the list don't have as big of a draw as those at the top of the list. With Zack Snyder, it's a little bit difficult to comment on his ability to sell movie tickets because it's been a decade since the last true Zack Snyder film was released in theaters. Batman v Superman, Justice League is a weird abomination thing, and even that was 9 years ago. But even as we talk about Batman v Superman, that is a franchise film. But what you can't deny is that Zack Snyder has a rabid cult following. Like, of all the directors out there, he is the guy that has like the most rabid, intense fans that truly treat him like a cult leader and give him kind of this elevated status. So, whenever he puts a movie out, there is buzz and excitement. Have the last several been disappointing? Yes, they have. But he is a director with a unique vision. He is a director with a loyal fan base. He's a director that you have an opinion on his films. Whether you like them or not, doesn't matter. You have an opinion on them. And so, in and of himself, he is a brand. He generates discussion. He generates momentum. When he puts something out, people pay attention. Next up, David Fincher. This is another director where it's a little bit difficult to comment on his ability to sell tickets because it's been over a decade since he's had a wide-released theatrical film. But he's one of these directors that has a 30-year track record of putting out quality films where people know his name and they get excited when he puts a film out. And so anything with his name attached to it immediately has buzz and excitement. As of recently, those have been streaming movies and streaming projects, but nonetheless, his name in and of itself generates momentum. He has a fan base. He has built-in trust with audiences. Once again, it's been over a decade since his last theatrical film, and you can debate like how big of a splash have his recent films made. Fair enough. He's got a movie coming out later this year that I assure you will be a massive hit for Netflix when it comes out. Guaranteed. It's tied to Quentin Tarantino. Maybe another name that's about to pop up on this list. But David Fincher, people know who he is as a quality director. It's not as strong as it was 15 years ago, where he would have easily been much higher up on this list, but his name still carries weight. James Gunn, the current king of the nerds. This guy that started out writing trauma films, moved on to writing Scooby-Doo films, then writing a Zack Snyder film, and then making creepy, weird, indie superhero and body horror films or creature feature type films, and somehow started working for Mickey Mouse and then took over DC. He is a name that everybody knows who he is. And it's another one that's a little bit tricky because he's been stuck in comic book world, IP world for quite a while. But he's become that top name in that space by turning the Guardians of the Galaxy into beloved household name characters. And then because all the controversy surrounding him and taking over DC, he has become this prominent rock star in the nerd space, that people pay attention to what he's doing. They know his name. They associate him with a very specific style of humor, for better or worse, love it or hate it. People know the name James Gunn, and they pay attention to what he does. I have so many subscriptions, streaming services, food services, software services. Some of them are annual subscriptions that are hundreds of dollars, and they happen over and over again. It adds up quick. There's so many times I've signed up for some subscription in order to do one specific project, and then I completely forgot about it and kept paying for it. And Rocket Money is one of those tools that has helped me rein in my accidental spending and get control of my finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. When I first started using Rocket Money, I realized I had 2 different subscriptions to one of the big streaming services. You can easily see all of your recurring monthly subscriptions in Rocket Money. Rocket Money has the ability to cancel subscriptions within the app with just a few taps, saving time and avoiding charges. Their dashboard also consolidates checking, savings, loans, and investments into a single dashboard to give users a clear view of their financial picture. It's a new year. It's a great time to try and get a grip on your finances. Rocket Money has helped me do that, and it can help you too. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals. Join at rocketmoney.com/Chandler. That's rocketmoney.com/Chandler. rocketmoney.com/Chandler. Martin Scorsese, an absolute legend for 50 years now. He has been part of the public discourse as a top-level director since the 1970s, and he's still putting out movies that are winning awards, getting nominated for Best Picture, still attracting top-level talent, and still able to get people to buy tickets to movies they don't normally buy tickets for. He isn't someone that's incredibly prolific, that he's just cranking out movies, but he is still regularly putting out movies. Killers of the Flower Moon, some people will say, well, that movie actually lost money. What are you talking about? He can still sell tickets. Well, it lost money because they spent $200 million on a 4-hour-long movie that's super depressing. If you detach the budget from it and you just say, this is a 4-hour drama, historic drama, and it grossed over $150 million at the box office, that's a huge number. That only happened because of Martin Scorsese. Like, his name was attached to it. He attracted big, gigantic names. It became an event. And so a movie that otherwise would have made, like, the only reason it got a $200 million budget is because it's Martin Scorsese. The only reason it grossed over $100 million is because of Martin Scorsese. This project otherwise would have had a much smaller budget and would have grossed $15 million. It was elevated entirely on the clout of his name, that people know. Every cinephile knows you go see the new Martin Scorsese movie because it's the new Martin Scorsese movie, and this is going to be a big deal. And then it was nominated for Best Picture. Jordan Peele. Now, he started out in the world of comedy. I believe he was on Mad TV for a number of years. Of course, he had Key and Peele, where he became an absolute legend just for that TV show, and then the skits going viral in the YouTube era. And he decided to write and direct a movie that wasn't a comedy. We had no idea what he was doing, what is going on here, and it turned out to be Get Out, and immediately established himself not just as the comedy guy, but someone with a very fresh, new voice, a way of merging a bunch of genres together, making a movie that had very strong social commentary, and at the same time was very entertaining at the same time. It can be amusing, it can be funny, it can be terrifying, it's visually interesting. So immediately he became someone everyone was paying attention to, followed it up with Us and Nope, and we're now waiting for what is he going to do next. He became a brand in and of himself. You could take this a lot of different ways, but in modern day M. Night Shyamalan, that has a very distinct style with how he does things. You know, he tackles different things with each of the 3 movies he did, but there's a specific aura, vibe of his films. You know what you're that experience that you're in for, and people are anticipating what's next. What is he going to do with excitement? and it sells entirely on, ooh, what's Jordan Peele going to do? Next up, Greta Gerwig. Now, this is an interesting one because she basically has a couple of smaller prestige films that did well at the box office and got buzz, and then she had one mega hit for the general public, Barbie, where she became directed the movie and co-wrote the highest grossing movie directed by a woman ever. And while it absolutely is an IP movie, Barbie, this is a gigantic IP, obviously. Her voice and footprint was all over this film. It had such a distinct flavor to it that the discussion isn't Barbie. The discussion is Greta Gerwig and how she was able to take Barbie dolls and make the movie that she was able to make, and immediately propelled herself into this stratosphere of directors where everyone wants to know what she's going to do next. What is it going to be like? She's doing a Narnia film next, if you're wondering what it is. But immediately she became the topic of conversation because it was her that actually made this thing come to life, that gave it a personality and made it cut through. She somehow was working with one of the biggest brands, and she was the one that cut through, and made a name for herself. So this is what she's not a long proven talent like Martin Scorsese. She's kind of the opposite of that. She's the big breakout talent that everyone is talking about. Is she someone that is just an indie darling that had the one-hit wonder and mainstream success? Or is that the beginning of a very long career of interesting projects with a distinct flavor to them? Of course, you got to talk about James Cameron, the king of the box office, the only director ever to release 4 back-to-back billion-dollar films. At the beginning of that, it was 2 back-to-back movies that were the highest-grossing film of all time, and 3 of those back-to-back grossed $2 billion. I believe Titanic, through all the re-releases, crossed $2 billion. I think or it's right there. Maybe I could be wrong with that detail. Obviously, you have to throw James Cameron into this conversation. He's a bit of an odd bird in this category because he's only put out 3 movies in the last 30 years. And, 2 of those came out in the last 3 years. So very strange career trajectory. And by creating James Cameron's scarcity, there's this kind of built-in demand, and they immediately feel like an event. What is he doing? What was this Avatar movie? Can the sequel live up to it? Can the second sequel live up to the previous ones? And we're looking at Avatar 3 only grossing $1.5 billion as this big, gigantic disappointment, when it's like, this gigantic movie that still made $1.5 billion, but compared to what he's been doing, it feels awfully tame by comparison. When that's the way you talk about James Cameron movies at the box office, James Cameron is a director that sells tickets. James Cameron is someone that gets people to pay attention. James Cameron makes event films that make a huge splash. A unique version of a splash, but a splash nonetheless. Denis Villeneuve, over the last decade, he has established himself as a director that simply does not miss. And then with the Dune movies, he has had the large-scale box office success to give him mainstream fame as well. But you can just look at his track record going back over a decade now, and he has put out banger after banger in multiple different genres, book adaptations, original films, sci-fi adaptations, and he keeps knocking it out of the park. And he takes absolutely IP. Dune is an IP, but Dune is not the most mainstream accessible of IP. And he brings them to the mainstream and does them with excellence to a degree to where you trust the project once again, kind of like that Greta Gerwig situation of he became the topic of conversation more so than the IP, that you trust this guy with whatever he's given. He's in IP world. He did Blade Runner 2, 3 Dune movies in a row, and then he's going on to James Bond. I'd love it if after his James Bond movie, he goes off and does something original with all the clout that he has. But he's the topic of conversation. He's the name that's cut through that you're like, I trust him. This guy does it right. This guy shoots right. This guy knows how to do VFX right. This guy knows how to trust the source material and build upon it. He knows how to adapt it. He is the guy that whatever he's doing, it is excellent, and you trust his films to deliver. Before I give you my top 3, and I would say they are the top 3, be sure to join me down below in the comment section. Let me know who are those directors that you think are the A-list, that they sell tickets with their name. When their name is attached to something, you associate quality with it, and people trust this is a movie worth going to go see. Quentin Tarantino, a director for cinephiles that general audiences love and trust at the same time. His last movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, grossed hundreds of millions of dollars just being about people hanging out in Hollywood. Django Unchained is the highest grossing Western of all time, and it grossed more than double what the number 5, the 5th highest grossing Western of all time, grossed. Westerns are not a genre that tend to crank in money at the box office, at least for the last 30 years. And Quentin Tarantino directed one that made almost $500 million. That is entirely people loving Quentin Tarantino, trusting Quentin Tarantino. And he's delivered over and over and over again since the early 1990s. Whatever he's doing, people are paying attention to. People are even paying attention to the projects that he's not doing. His 10th movie, the Star Trek movie, The Critic, all these films he talked about making made headlines, and they're never going to come to be. That's the power of Quentin Tarantino. People, whatever he's going to do, people are interested in, and they're paying attention to it. Because of his name, because of his unique style, because of his consistent quality for decades. Our runner-up, Ryan Coogler. He first made a name for himself at Fruitvale Station over a decade ago, getting critical and indie praise, and then he hopped into the big leagues doing Creed, which was so much better than it had any right to be, and, relaunched a whole trilogy of Creed films, launched Michael B. Jordan into movie stardom, and made people go, who is this Ryan Coogler fellow? He follows it up with Black Panther, which goes on to be the highest grossing movie of all time from a black director, as well as, I believe, the only MCU film ever nominated for Best Picture. So, massive financial success and incredible critical success. But is he just a franchise guy? No. This year he puts out Sinners, an original horror film that went on to become wildly profitable, making way more than people expected it to make. And it's about to be nominated for a bunch of Oscars tomorrow. It's gotten enormous critical praise, loved by audiences, and made it very clear. This isn't a guy that just can play in other people's sandboxes. This guy can tell original stories that are accessible to mainstream audiences, that play in familiar genre territory, but are prestige caliber, Oscar caliber, that are filled with all sorts of merging of genres that feel very disparate at the superficial level, but somehow he finds a way to blend them together, that can tackle important themes without needing to bang the audience over the head and preach at them, but can still have a lot to say while being wildly entertaining. Like, he is that level of director, and audiences know it. They know that this is a director that I'm going to be entertained, but he's also going to challenge me and make me think. He's operating on that level. And so he sells movie tickets. Everyone wants to know what he's going to do next. I cannot wait to find out what he's going to do next. But easily the top of the director A-list right now, Christopher Nolan. He's had massive indie cred since Memento came out 25 years ago. Then he got mainstream nerd credibility when The Dark Knight came out, and he just solidified that nerd credibility with Inception that made it go, wait a minute, he can do Batman and make it that awesome. And then he did Inception that just blew my mind, and he's basically been on top of the world, praised by audiences and critics ever since. Not every project is equally praised, not every project is equally loved and successful, but you pay attention no matter what it is. Oh, he's going to do a World War II battle movie set in 3 different timelines, moving at 3 different paces. Oh, he's going to do a movie that uses time backwards. Wait, he's doing a movie about Oppenheimer. Whatever it is, people pay attention, and it is immediately an event that everyone is curious about. The Odyssey sold out IMAX screenings in minutes a year before the movie was released. They put IMAX tickets on sale a year before release. Sold out instantly. You couldn't get them 10 minutes after they were out there because they were just gone. That is the power of Christopher Nolan. That is the built-in anticipation, excitement, and very broad belovedness in all these different categories, from average movie fan that doesn't normally get into Best Picture nominees, but it's Christopher Nolan, so they're interested. He's able to make a movie like Oppenheimer that is about science and Senate hearings that's 3 hours long, and it made just that shy of $1 billion and won a bajillion Oscars and other awards. He can make movies that appeal to the cinephiles, but also normal people that aren't as crazy about flashy prestige films. That's the magic of Christopher Nolan. He likes normal people stuff. He makes movies that normal people can enjoy, but at the highest heights of skill and talent. So the snootiest also love what he's doing. When you have that broad of appeal, you're on a different level, and everybody knows that's who Christopher Nolan is. So for me, I think he is easily the current top of the director A-list, and he's sold out tickets a year in advance. So kind of objectively he is too. So he comes in at number 1. Let me know your picks down below in the comment section. I know I left off some icons here like Spielberg, my favorite director of all time, but that's just looking at the box office data. Fableman's bombed at the box office. So let me know your picks down below. And remember, we're talking about who actually sells tickets or gets people excited with just their name.